I get like the lineup construction issue, but without Steph, it doesn't matter who they put out there. You're at least going to have 3 non-shooters on the floor every single time.
So you think they're going to be a play-in team no matter what?
I don't know. It's going to be tough to get that 6. The rhetoric on Jonathan Kuminga is like, oh, dear God. He's a 7th guy right now on the team. All right? And we're hyper-focused on him. Let's hyper-focus on the starters. Let's hyper-focus on the fact that if you throw size on Jimmy Butler, something I pointed to you, Shasky, back in the Orlando game, Steph scores his 56. People forget they were down 17 in that basketball game. 17. And what Orlando did in that game, if you look at Jimmy box score, he wasn't as effective. Now, he missed the next night against Philadelphia due to the back spasms, but they threw Jonathan Isaac and Paulo Banchero on him. The book is out. Throw some size on Jimmy. He's still going to get his money, but you're going to keep him from going to the free throw line, and that compromises spacing even more. Now, of course, you don't have Steph Curry the last 2 nights, but, I mean, Draymond Green, DPOY, Bam, he got loose. And now Draymond's not guarding him the entire night. No. But OG got loose. Aaron Gordon got loose. Okongwu dominated, had the game of his life. Yeah. Down to Atlanta. Cat, Scotty Barnes. Toronto outscored the Warriors 58-30 in the paint. 58-30. So they've got to shore up, and that starts with the starters, the big money players.
And going back to the beginning of the Miami game, I just thought that the way that they matched up, they put I believe Ware was on Draymond, and then Bam was on Jimmy to start, and then they flip-flopped it. They basically treated GP2, Jimmy, and Draymond as the 3 non-shooters. And they said, we're going to pack the paint, and we're going to put our feet in the paint, and we're going to deny you any access into the lane, and we're going to force you into passing the ball on the perimeter and settling for a crummy shot. And it worked out brilliantly. And that's why they have got to make some adjustments. And I've told him, like, we could talk about Jonathan Kuminga and playing through mistakes. And this, Quinn Post is a guy, I think you just need to put both feet in and say, we are committed through the defensive liabilities to play him, because he brings stuff offensively that right now we need to shore up one side of the ball. And I think offensively they need shooting bad.
They do, but Grandy knows this. Denver came out in that game. They were a 15.
They attacked him.
They attacked him relentlessly. And so Steve Kerr's the type of coach that you're getting picked on defensively, and you continue to get hunted, especially as a young player. If you're not making shots, you're not going to play. He played like 8 minutes in that game. Yeah. You know, so
but you got to go back to him to try it again. I think that's where I get frustrated. Is because, like, great example, and I brought him up. Like, and you don't have a point guard, but Podziemski was awful in the first half.
They all were.
But they go back to him in the second half because they don't have many other options.
Well, Steph is out, so
they don't have a choice, especially without Steph.
Well, no, you do. It's Pat Spencer. You could play for a couple of minutes.
Come on, Shasky. I like Pat Spencer, but come on. You got GP2 out there. He tore the ligament in his thumb. You're not going to Pat Spencer
for a minute
in a game.
You can't give him a look. They gave Ty Jerome months, and now we find out he's an actual NBA player.
The league can go from 15 to 20 in a heartbeat here, man. If you go Pat Spencer, like Pat Spencer. I like Pat Spencer.
All I'm saying is, look, you got to try something in these games. You got to try anything. Like, I'm dead serious, and because you're limited, because your roster, like you got to pull the lever on something.
Now you're down GP2.
Yep. He's playing well.
Yeah, torn a ligament in his left thumb, out indefinitely, might miss the whole regular season, the rest of the regular season, only 10 games left. He'll be reevaluated next week. We'll find out. You're down to the 7 seed currently because the Clippers won in New York versus the Knicks the other night. They're playing again today. You need them to lose, and you need to win in order to jump them in the standings and get back to the 6th seed. It's suddenly looking a little more dire, Bonte, but you didn't have Steph the last 2 games. He's obviously still a huge factor. But you got to get back up to the 6th seed, and now you got a couple of things working against you.
I don't know if that's going to be possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible. You look at the next 10 games for the Clippers. I'll just read the teams off.
So sad.
Brooklyn, all right? That's a win for the Clippers. You play Memphis or the Lakers, and you're in the road trip. Usually you're in the road trip, you come back home, get the day off. No, you got to unpack and get ready for the Denver Nuggets the next night. After playing the Lakers in L.A., they're in the road trip. Then you play Houston. Then you got that Phoenix. For whatever reason, Phoenix gives them the issues, even though Phoenix is a mess. You saw them the other night against Boston get blown out, and you get San Antonio at Portland, and you get the Clippers. So
I don't know if you know this. This is why I call him Binoculars Bonte, because he's always staring at the calendar.
Hey, you got to, right, Grady? This is what the pros do.
Yeah,
You're looking ahead to the schedule. The 16 is going to be hard to attain for the Golden State Warriors. Is basically what I'm saying.
Which makes all of these losses so much more frustrating because they had an opportunity to gain some ground.
Well, it was disappointing. Well, it's disappointing. They talked about having Jimmy's back in Miami, and
just no.
we got to do this for Jimmy. Jimmy was unmoved by the emotions or whatnot. Obviously, the video tribute got to him. They came out there and just got dogged. I mean, again, their starter scored 10 points, and people want to call the lines and talk about Jonathan Kuminga. The bench helped. If it wasn't for Jonathan Kuminga and Guy Santos and who else, Quinn Post, coming off the bench, they would have been down 30 in the second quarter. It would have been down 30.
Even Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield had some moments.
Buddy's trying really hard on defense.
Buddy's
always
fine.
tries.
Buddy's fine. He tries hard. He's going to be on. He's going to be off. That's who Buddy is. But he's fine. He's your 7th or 8th guy. What about the starters? Moses Moody 0 for 9 from 3. Draymond Green again. DPOY these last 2 games. Atlanta and Miami has cooked.
I love how he.
So seriously, I don't want to hear about Jonathan Kuminga no more. Like, I'm so sick of people saying Jonathan Kuminga is who he is.
So you think they're going to be a play-in team no matter what?
I don't know. It's going to be tough to get that 6. It's going to be tough.
We're going to look back at some of these losses. Atlanta, the Denver game, and it's going to come down to one of those, and it's, oh, gosh.
No, Jimmy Butler said it perfectly the other night. You need 30 back. This thing revolves around 30. And we see why
That's what I want to hear from the guy making 60 large. I can't operate without Steph. It's like, no.
Well, he's making the 60 large.
That's my point. Like Jimmy, we just gave you $112 million. Like, this is why we acquired you to offset a night. Like, for example, I just need to win one of these 2 games. Curry's out. Can we win one of 2? No, you literally look like you didn't show up for either game.
He showed up against Atlanta.
He was okay. I thought he was okay against Atlanta.
Their defense sucked against Atlanta. Their defense stuck. The offense was, wasn't the best. The bench in that game, too, kind of picked up the starters.
Yeah, they did.
At times. So, I mean, every time they cut it to 8, Atlanta goes on a little mini run and go back up 15. They cut it to 6. They go back up on 15, go on a mini run. So the starters do have to play better. Jimmy has to play better.
I just don't accept the cop-out. I just don't accept the cop-out. Oh, Steph's out. Why? Can you imagine Luka? LeBron's out. I'm just gonna, what are you gonna do? I mean, we don't have LeBron.
Well, you know what they do?
That's why they got Luka.
They got blown out too without LeBron.
I know, but I'm just saying,
hits a half-court heave to beat him.
That doesn't mean the excuse is a good one.
Nobody's making an excuse, but 30 masks a lot. And so that's why I'm not going to panic.
That's obvious.
I'm not going to panic when you get a team like the Heat that are athletic and have a lot of size. They do. Their starting 5 is impressive in terms of just length and athleticism and paying attention to detail. They're going to be well coached with Spo. You don't have Steph. Yes, that's what the gravity looks like. That's what the spacing looks like. And then
was Jimmy passive for you? Let me just ask you, just straight up. Given everything that was going on, was he too passive for you?
Bam made him passive. Bam forced him to be passive.
So then what was that third quarter where they actually looked like they were intense after getting their butt kicked?
The bench came in. That was the bench that came in with that run. I thought
their defensive intensity in the half court cranked up a lot more in the first couple of minutes.
A little bit. They were still down 20.
No
the first couple minutes.
No doubt. Made a few shots in the third quarter.
Right.
There were 3 points in that game.
They were down 20 like in the first 4 minutes of the third quarter.
I was going to say
they got back within 8, I think.
Yeah,
right?
that was with the bench. That was with the Kuminga.
3 separate times, this lineup caused a huge deficit. To open the game, it was the GP2 Draymond Butler lineup, okay, the 3 non-shooters. At the end of, the end of the second quarter, or beginning of the second quarter, they went back to that lineup to start the quarter, and it went from an 8-point game, which was a 3-point game, down to a 12-point game, and then immediately again at the end of half, they went to 17 with the Tyler Hero 3. They went back to it after they had cut it to 9 or 10 at the end of the third quarter, and then immediately it ballooned up to 17. 3 separate times because Spo was like, we're going to treat you as 3 non-shooters.
I get like the lineup construction issue, but without Steph, it doesn't matter who they put out there, you're at least going to have 3 non-shooters on the floor every single time. Like, your shooters without Steph are Buddy Hield and Quinn Post. That's it.
And Moody, you expect Moody to be a 3-and-D guy.
He hasn't been good.
No, I know, but I'm saying like why you play him is you expect him to space the floor.
Legit shooters, I'm kind of with Grandy. It's Post, it's Buddy, it's Steph.
Even with Steph, I don't think they have enough offense.
Right. With Steph, the spacing is still like, oh boy, because Jimmy's operating.
There's no doubt, but would you agree that like GP2, similar to some of the other guys that they had in years past, really only works alongside Steph Curry? Like in those lineups, you have to be careful who you trot him out with. Same with Kevon Looney.
We got a lot of that on this team.
But that's...
We got a lot of that on this team. So that's
why it's so dire that I need Jimmy Butler to pretend like he cares in a game that matters to him.
Grady. I'm going to do some shit.